Hello and welcome back to the Oxbridge Formula. So here at the Oxbridge Formula, we offer online and summer and half-term intensive courses aimed at best preparing you for Oxford and Cambridge. You can also check out our website to look at some admissions test prep and interview prep, and also there's some blogs written by students about student life to give you a better insight into what it's like to study at Oxford and Cambridge. There's a link down below in the description. So today we're here with Tang, and it's really exciting because we're going to be talking about Merton College. So hello, would you like to tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, so yeah, I'm Tang. I'm a second year at Merton College and I study chemistry.
Nice. So I think a big question that people always have when they're applying to Oxford and Cambridge is like, how do you pick a college? So what made you pick Merton? How'd you pick it?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. So I went for the open days. I think I actually went on the September one, not the July one because I missed it. Never mind. So I was one of those people who went round to all the different colleges, trying to just see as much as I could because whilst you're there, I thought I may as well make the most of it. Um, and I actually ended up picking up a load of like random bags. So I went to Exeter as well, and I went to Christchurch.
Nice.
In the end, I picked Merton.
That's amazing.
I actually picked up loads of bags. They were quite useful, but yeah. Anyway, so Merton. It was actually one of the last colleges I went to, but for me, as soon as you walked in, they had like music going, people kind of not milling around, but they looked quite chill and not kind of stressed or kind of people like headless chickens running everywhere. To be fair, that wasn't at any of the colleges, but some you could definitely get a vibe of whether it was busier or not. And yeah, so the front quad for me, that was just a really lovely place to step into to start with. And then getting to talk to the students, they all seemed quite relaxed, very friendly, very lovely. I must admit, they did give out free donuts, which probably was a good perk at the time because I was getting quite hungry by that point. But I think it was just the atmosphere. I quite liked it. Other things, I guess, on walking in from the open day, it was the size of the college, because for me, that's something that matters. I don't like it. I didn't want to feel like there were lots of people to get to know because otherwise I just feel a bit dwarfed. But it wasn't too small either, so that was something else I noticed immediately in walking in. And also the architecture. I mean, everyone's like has got different preferences. But the buildings were just so beautiful. And walking in, I was like, this is quite nice. And it's true in many other colleges, but I guess putting it all together, it did help me pick Merton. But I would like to point out that I didn't really think about it until I actually had to put it down on my UCAS form.
So, I mean, that's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I did similar to you with the open days. Like I went around loads and loads of different colleges, and I remember Merton was one of the ones I went to, and I think I was so shocked by how big it is on the inside. Like it's like a TARDIS. It doesn't look that big on the outside, and then you go in, and there's quite a lot of land to it, isn't there?
That's true, yeah. I think in terms of like undergraduates to how much space there is, perhaps there's more space per student for Merton, but I'm not actually technically sure on those ratios. But yeah, it is actually because we have our own lawn as well inside, so not as big as say Worcester with their own lake.
Yeah.
But it's nice definitely to have your own sort of green patch inside college that you can just walk around whenever.
Yeah, it seemed like a really friendly college, and I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about like the rep that Merton has in Oxford, but like you said, it didn't really feel like that at the open day, but I don't know if you want to explore that a bit further.
Yeah, so something that, too bad, I didn't actually hear it at the open day. I only heard it after I applied, and I feel like that's quite common to several people at Merton. But anyway, so we're known as the college where fun goes to die, but I personally disagree, which would be a very typical thing to say. I think this is just my own opinion, but I think it might stem from the fact that academically Merton has a history of doing quite well. And perhaps we're known for tutors to push us more academically. But talking to other people, I think there's other colleges at least for chemistry, who do a similar amount of work and get set similar amounts. So perhaps it's just more across all subjects, but I don't really know. I personally don't think that the fun has died. Like we have BOPs, as with other colleges, and we have them typically every fortnight, apart from kind of during exams. And we actually get to go to, we have like a sports pavilion, which is by St. Cat's, and that's where we host the BOPs. So yeah, BOPs are just
Wow.
like little, well not little, but like sort of parties come club night. Not like a disco thing, but it's just like a safe, fun time where you can chill, boogie away. I feel like I'm not really describing it very well.
Boogie away.
Yeah, it's kind of like disco come club night, really,
Yeah.
for the college. But yeah, ours is off-site, which means ours go on to like 2 a.m. Which is, I know, right? Because a lot of other colleges, I didn't realise they have to have it on college, which is more often than not in town. So it probably goes on to about midnight, and then you have to disperse and go and do whatever. So yeah, that's definitely a perk, I thought. And everyone's still going, and then even on the way back, you go get a kebab or something, or end up in someone's room, and just like everyone's on the floor like, whoop. But also there's just lots going on, I think. So there's like the 1980s Society, if you're into kind of feminist things. There's the Music Society, and then they host concerts, I think, about every week or so, but it depends how involved you want to get. I haven't really listed a lot. I just don't think Is My Fun goes to that. I think it's as much as you want to make of things, really.
Yeah.
And the people there are just really lovely as well, which helps. So
yeah, that's really nice. I feel like some Oxford colleges do tend to have reps that aren't really that true, or maybe have been true in the past but just not true anymore. So it is interesting to get like an insider's perspective on Merton, because like from an outsider, that is what people think of the college. Yeah, so it's nice to know that it isn't actually like that. And I definitely want to talk a little bit more about what you've just mentioned. So BOPs, I think it's like you said, it's quite rare for a BOP to go on till like 2 a.m. because normally it goes on till about midnight. So that is a huge perk. But do you want to tell me a little bit more about BOPs at Merton, and things like what the drinks are like, fancy dress, and all that sort of thing?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with kind of the structure of of it. And so we have, I think the pre-BOP starts about 8, 9-ish. Typically on our BOPs are, basically always on Saturdays, which is another thing that is different to other colleges.
Yeah, it's really good as well.
So it means it's like on the weekend, which doesn't work out for everyone, but it's pretty good. And then, so we will go to the JCR, so the Junior Common Room. And you have free drinks, like optional whether you want to drink them or not, but at least you don't have to pay. And we have these massive bowls, I guess. They look like what the sort of fruit bowls, but just like really big. And they have mixed their drinks in there. So I don't really know what goes into this. Probably kind of a mixture of like vodka and then various other like mixes, essentially. And then you have what we call ENTS reps, or like entertainment reps, who typically kind of sort out the drinks, are in charge of organising general entertainment events for the JCR. And so that's just a time where everyone can relax, and you get to talk to people. There's quite loud music going on, but it's like pre-drinks essentially. And then so each BOP tends to have a theme where everyone tries to go in sort of some sort of fancy dress. Doesn't have to be like really expensive or super well thought out, albeit some are very well thought out. And it's just whatever you can get, really, whether it's kind of things you found in your suitcase, or you found something cheap like in the high street, or you've just made it yourself. Anything goes, really. So a few of the themes we've had, I remember one was like fruits and vegetables, which was a bit weird, but someone came with I think loads of balloons, like purple balloons, and there were grapes. So I thought that was really good. Really good.
So clever.
I think some might have come as like avocado as well. Like I think they cut out some sort of avocado shape, and their face was kind of the central part, which was quite funny. Kings and queens, And so you can take that however you like, whether it's like cards, kings and queens, or literal royals. What else? Oh, and then we had one, I think, to do like environmental just issues. And that was quite, I don't know, it was interesting because people came in like plastic bags, making a point, things like that. Um, oh, Halloween, of course. There's lots of different themes essentially, and you don't have to do them, but if you want to, you can. Oh, I do remember one that was, I think, was it like cartoons or something like that? And there's one group, and they came as like Scooby Doo. So someone actually came as is it Mean Green Mystery Machine or something like that?
Yeah. Somebody dressed up as that.
Yeah, they came in like a cardboard box and made it themselves. They had like Velma and Daphne and Fred. It was good. That was a good one. Yeah, so like all different things. Yeah, so that's pre-bop, and then about 10, well, half 10ish really, people can't either go back to their own rooms to get changed into something more comfortable for dancing, and we will just slowly, not as a group, just whenever you feel like it, mingle over to the sports pavilion that I just mentioned. So it's only about 5, maximum 10 if you're really dawdling or a little bit wobbling from side to side. 10 minutes walk over. And so our sports pavilion, it's a big gym really, but without, as in not the gym equipment, sort of like the old sports hall sort of thing. Yeah, and the music's going. There's free pizza for whoever gets there first, because that does go pretty quickly. And yeah, like there's good music playing, and you just can't get down and start to dance, do whatever really. And there's like outside space as well. So there's like some smoke there, but if you just want some fresh air as well, like there's, because it's got the whole field as well. It's quite a nice space to go to. In terms of drinks, actually, like different colleges have different drinks that they're known for, and ours is the Power Pint. I could get this wrong, but it's something like maybe 2 or 3 vodka shots, I think, like a VK, and then some sort of energy drink, and you can get them in different colours. So it's definitely a drink that keeps you going, or at least gets you started. And I know people would have like, you can have like a few if you want, or some people have like 10s during a night, and I'm like, woohoo. But it's, I don't know, I personally quite like them, but they can be quite sweet for some people, but they definitely get you going, put it that way.
That's so bad. That sounds lethal, literally lethal. I know at St. Peter's, they have like, obviously their college drink is the cross keys, and there's like 6 shots in each one, and they have like a competition that if you drink 7, and then like a stay standing or like without passing out within an hour, you get put on like a board, like to say like congratulations. So weird. So fun though. So yeah, your bops sound really, really cool, like quite different to other bops. And the fact that you've got like a pre-bop and then a bop, and it sounds so cool. Like, because ours are like at Somerville, because I'm at Somerville College, it's all just in one room, and like they're so much fun. But like it is just in one room from like, I don't know, set like 7:30 till 11 or 12. So yeah, it sounds really cool what you guys do. So what's your favorite bop memory?
I don't remember them, but to be fair, most of them I do. Let's think. I just think generally just going to have a good time with your friends, really. I think more, I just have snippets of lots of different memories. So often it's just dancing with your friends, everyone having a fun time. I remember one time people started getting on people's shoulders, and that was quite funny, and just like dancing around, albeit I think some of the porters or security people had to come through and just like, say health and safety, if you're tipsy, best not. One of the bops that I do remember is the finalist bop. So it's the big kind of last end of year bop for everyone. And so where it's at the pavilion, we have a bit of a field, and they had like a bouncy castle. They had one of those rodeo sort of games where you can ride on top and see if you fall off. Yeah. And then they had like a barbecue going, I think. And so that was just like, to start it off, really lovely.
Yeah.
And then of course, like all the good tunes, and when everyone's comes, you will stand there, sing, dance your heart away. It's just really lovely. But then to just end it all off, they had fireworks. And so everyone sat down and you were just sort of like swaying and just watching them go off and celebrating the end of the year. That's kind of one of my favourite memories, I think, of Bob.
Yeah, that's so nice. It sounds like a really extra special bob because I mean all our bobs at some of them are like very, very similar, but it sounds like yours can like vary a bit, and that's like really nice that they celebrate the end of the year like that. That's
Yeah,
really cute.
definitely.
So it definitely isn't where fun goes to die. It sounds really cool.
It's just based on like one night, but still, it's good. It's
Yeah.
good.
So you know your college drink that you mentioned before was the PowerPoint. Is that served in your college bar?
Yeah, so it's the Power Pint.
Oh, Power
And
Pint.
yeah, that's me being unclear earlier. Yeah, so it's served at our college bar, which I think is open every night. I mean, probably would be. And it probably closes about 11, 12. So people tend to go there either before formals or just whenever in the evenings for kind of a drink and a catch up with their friends. Um, I think the power pint's about £3 ish.
That's not bad.
So I think yeah, it's pretty good. But obviously like you can get lots of other drinks at the bar. Our bar, I don't know, it's kind of got like wooden benches. Um, it's not necessarily the most fun like glitzy bar,
Yeah.
but it's just a nice place where you can go to chill out, get some drinks. They've got a jukebox as well, so you can go listen to some music. I'd say a lot of people would typically use it before or after formals, as a place to kind of congregate and somewhere in college, which is definitely quite nice. If you can tell, I haven't technically used it that much, but sometimes you will get like whole year events hosted there, whether it's so we had a halfway hall, and so after we had the big meal, everyone goes to the bar, and we had a big karaoke, and that was really lovely. Halfway hall, by the way, is kind of celebrating halfway through your degree, and then we also used it for more official things like room ballots. So it's just like a place to meet, really. Yeah, it's a nice place. I think just chill, relax, and a different place where you can be.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. It's nice to have that social space to go to, I guess, after like a long day in the library or whatever. And like before and after formals, because you're always on like such a high after formals that you don't want to like go back to bed or like go do some work. So yeah, just chill out in the bar is like a really cool thing to do. And so if that's like quite a big social space, do you guys use your junior common room a lot, so JCR, and which is basically just like a room in college for the undergraduate population? But do you use that a lot?
I think the JCR it's used every week for the kind of general meetings. So it's
Yeah.
like optional whether you want to go to. I feel like it's kind of the student council of your college, really. It's used for pre-bop. We have a ping pong table, which is used by some people. I'm not very good at it. I mean, I've used it for when I stayed at like open days and things like that, which is quite fun. You kind of sit and play. We also, so I feel like the JCL sometimes people do study there as well. I wouldn't say it's like a library environment. Some people just prefer the space, their own personal preference. We actually have a TV room, which has, I think they've got a Nintendo Switch now. Yep, they do. Because I played Mario Kart on it. And that's like a separate room to the JCR, which is smaller, but I think in that way it's cozier.
Yeah.
And people have hosted kind of film nights there on the TV. So that's really lovely. We also have a games room, which I think it's got a snooker table, foosball table, I think, and like darts. So that's another room. Typically, it's used for the snooker table. Was it a pool table? Sorry, I don't know the difference. Whoops. So yeah, so we've got kind of lots of different social spaces, I think. So the JCR is used somewhat, but not all the time.
That's really cool that you have like 3 different rooms. Like, like that's quite rare for a college too. So that's like really cool. Because our JCR is just one room, and I guess it has like a pool table and like a TV and stuff. But it is just one room, and it's not that popular really. So it's cool that you guys have got different rooms to go chill out in. And I suppose like it isn't all like fun in college. And like obviously at Oxford we do have a lot of work. So we do spend quite a lot of time in the library. So do you want to tell me a little bit about your college library?
Okay, so we actually have 2 libraries.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, hey. So we have one that's, I think it's more humanities, so it's got things like music. Well, okay, that's the only place that I've really looked in there for. But I just feel like it's typically used more by humanities students. And that's inside the college. To me, it looks kind of more like a long corridor, but there's kind of your bookshelves and tables and quiet study space. And it's got its own like printing facilities, computers that you can use. Yeah, so we call that the mob library because it's in the mob quad. Above it is actually, I think Merton's got the oldest library in the English speaking world, apparently. So that's like one of our claims to fame.
Wow.
And that's above that. So every few times during the year, you're actually allowed to go in and have a tour around the like that oldest library, which is really cool. And they kind of tell you a bit more about the history of the college, the fact that they had like stone stairs going up to prevent fires and flooding, and it's just really cool to see a bit more history. Anyway,
It's really cool.
So that's one of the libraries, and then the second library is a lot bigger. There's let me think, there's 2 floors, but lots of different rooms. Is it 2? Oh no, I think it's 3. 3 floors. Okay, and there's lots of different rooms that you can go and study in. Typically, they're organised by subject, but that's only for the books. You can choose whichever one you like to study in. And that library is actually it's opposite the lodge. So if you look on Google Maps, it looks like a old haunted house building. But inside, it's one of those kind of classic Oxford libraries, I think, with the dark wood, loads and loads of bookshelves. And then, so you can have tables where you can fit about, I don't know, 6 to 8 people around them, as well as just kind of individual tables. And it's all it's just lots of different areas inside, which is really lovely. And that's the one that I typically study in because it's both got the science books, and I just like that sort of old Oxford environment. There is also a group study room actually where you can talk inside, because typically most areas are meant to be silent study. So it's nice to have a designated room where people are actually able to go and discuss things, which I think is really good. But of course, if there's no one around and it's just you and your friends, often you will just kind of chat in your study breaks and like kind of study alongside. So yeah, it's good. I think there's a lot of study space in Merton.
Yeah, I remember going to the Open actually and like walking across the road to go to the separate library that's like across the road, and it's a really nice library, like a really nice place to work. But if that's off-site, does that mean, so are any of your college libraries 24/7?
Yeah, that's the thing. So no, our college libraries, despite our reputation, aren't actually 24/7. They shut at 2. Technically, I think the computer room so the library across the road, it's called OWL for short because it was the old warden's lodgings, where warden is kind of the head of our college, which is different at different colleges. So that's something else. So the computer room is meant to be 24/7, but apart from that, the porters do come around and they're meant to lock the doors at 2 a.m. So at that point, I mean, most of us are probably tired enough by that point. I think rumor has it that they originally did it to try and help our welfare, so like go to sleep people. But I think 2 a.m. is normally late enough. Sometimes you just have to leg it over to print something off that you need for the next day, but normally it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like it is a great perk having a 24-hour library for some people because they will just sit and write an essay all night. But I think for the majority of people, like I know I've never worked later than 11 p.m. So yeah, 2 a.m. is like a fine time to close. And then I suppose that with all the work, like it's really important to eat good food to like keep you going, because I know that on long days the things that keep me going is like, oh, I can't not wait for my tea tonight, like it looks really good on the menu. So what is food like in hall for you?
Yeah, so I typically go for college lunch. I find that kind of one college meal a day is enough for me.
Okay.
But Merton offers kind of, there's breakfast, I think that's 8 till 9. And that's typically with a DIY breakfast as opposed to a like big English breakfast.
Okay.
And then
What do you mean by DIY?
Yeah, so just like your own cereal, yogurts, you can like boil your own eggs.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I I don't technically make those ones because I'm one of those last minute rush and go people.
Yeah, same with me.
Before lectures at 9. But yeah, I know quite a lot of people go and it's like starts their day off, gets them off to a good start. So that's good. Yeah, college lunch for us, that's 12 to 1:30. And I think college lunch is typically just under £4. I'm not sure how prices will vary, but that's roughly how it is. And I actually think it's really good value. So it's in the hall, which is, it does look like one of those kind of Harry Potter halls. They have the long dining tables, benches, sort of, yeah, and that's like dark wood and the big ceiling. So I remember the first time actually going to eat, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm actually like sitting in one of these like really old halls. But it's something you just get used to over time. And then so you go to the hall, you swipe your bod card, and ours works as a kind of top up pay as you go system, which I think is quite good. So you don't have to go if you don't want to, but the money, you can put as much money as you want onto your card. You're kind of not held back, or you have to use it if you don't want to. Yeah, and so you go in and then you pick what main you want, and it's like the classic canteen. They give you a plate and they serve you up whatever meals are going. And typically there's at least 2 to 3, I think, different choices you can have. I think we always have a fish, and then there'll be something vegetarian probably, and then whatever other main they have. One of my favorites is salmon, actually. So I think they do salmon really well. So I quite enjoy that. And then you walk into the hall, grab your cutlery, and we have a salad bar, which is really good. So, and it's always like there's the staples, but often you can get kind of cuts of meat, some sort of or like chicken bites, chickpeas, I don't know, and then like salad, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumber, cold pasta. So that's really good, and you can grab as much as you like, because once you pay at the beginning and it's one set price, for the whole lunch. And then so once you go and you grab as little or as much as you like. Now I'll put my plate down, but there's also like a dessert kind of section, which they keep refilling, so don't worry about missing out. Albeit sometimes they refill with different things, so it's always worth going up to check after, see if there's anything else you like. So kind of cookies, cakes, sometimes things left from formal, which can be quite nice, like fancy mousses. So lots of yummy treats. And then there's also soup that you can get. So you just serve yourself that because it's in a vat, that you just help yourself. And there's fresh bread as well that you cut yourself slices of. And then next to the dessert bar there's also a fruit stand, so you can take bananas, apples, whatever else you like. And then on the tables there's water that you can help yourself to. So for about just under £4, I think that's really good value.
Really good value, yeah.
Wow, definitely stocks you up for the day to go.
Yeah, because in Somerville, like, it is well priced, but you pay like £4 something for like a main meal and 2 sides, like maybe like a burger, then chips and peas, and it'd be like £4.35. But then if you wanted salad on top of that, it'd be like an extra £1, like a pudding on top of that, an extra £1, and like you pay at the end. So it's really cool that you just pay like a set price beforehand and then just eat whatever you want, and like however much you want. Like, that's really cool perk. And then what about dinner in the evening? Is that similar?
Yeah, so dinner, I think our dinner's quite early, but I can't remember the specific time. It's probably about still around 6ish though.
Okay.
And that one I don't go to as often, but it's not quite as buffet style as lunch. So it's same sort of system. You go and get your main meal, but I think in the end you can just help yourself to a dessert, and then that's all there is to dinner, really. I think dinner for some reason is slightly more expensive as well. So maybe about £4.50, just under, I think.
Still good though.
So yeah, I mean, compared to going out and having to get that sort of meal outside is a lot more expensive. So yeah, I think generally food prices inside college are quite good. So that's just normal dinner. But then of course you have formals at Oxford, which is everyone can't. You dress up a bit. At Merton actually, formals I think is you kind of go in a shirt and a smart pair of trousers or whatever equivalent of that you want to choose. Doesn't I think full suits are nice, but you don't have to wear it if you don't want to. And then we have to wear our gowns on top as well. So formals are one of those classic Oxford experiences where you go in with your friends. You can go just for dinner, but it takes a bit longer because it's a fully served meal. So initially you go in, and then when they hit the mallet, or I've heard there's definitely a better word for that, but they hit the mallet, and then everyone has to stand, which sometimes people get caught out on, but never mind. And you have grace, which is read in Latin by someone at the front, and then after that you can all sit down and continue your conversations, which is really lovely. So it's one of those sort of you could call it fancy experiences where you have kind of 3 sets of cutlery, you have your bread on your left, and you have, I think, your drinks on the right. And so for Merton formals, you take your own wine if you want it. Otherwise, they have water and sparkling water on the table. So if you don't want to drink any alcohol, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Which often I actually don't, because I'm just there for good food and a good time. And then say you start with your salad as your first course, which varies because and then you have your main meal and your dessert, each which are served by the hall staff, which is like obviously really lovely. And then the whole time you just get to sit, enjoy, and have a lovely meal. I think our form was actually the same price as normal dinner. So I think just under £5. And you don't have to pay a separate price for guests either, which I think is really good. And you can have 2 guests per person, which is, I think it's great, because then you can have people from different colleges, your friends from home, family, or you can just go with your friends from college as well. So it's definitely one of those Oxford experiences that I think it's really lovely. I really enjoy it personally. And of course, the food tends to be really good. One top tip is the vegetarian platters are often larger than the main meals. So like they have kind of a salad side, the main dish, and but it just depends what's on the menu really, which you can check up online beforehand. So it's really good.
Yeah, I just want to say, in comparison to the price of Merton formals, some of those formals are £11 each, and like there isn't a difference for guests, but it is £11 for a 3-course meal, whereas Merton is obviously like a £5 for a 3-course meal. So that is like really well priced, and you're not going to get a 3-course meal for £5 like anywhere else ever again.
And all served as well. Yeah,
that's so good. It's so good. What's your favourite formal memory?
So one of mine is recently with a friend. And part of it was the menu, to be honest. It was a really good menu. I think we had some sort of goat cheese salad.
Oh, classic.
So it was kind of one of the classic starters. But that was yummy. I have learned to eat a lot more cheese since coming to college. So that was good. I think the main menu, I think it was like a venison steak. And I was like, really good. Other times it's been lamb as well, and I like it's yummy when they do it. And then but the big dish was the dessert. So many things. And it was a rainbow cake, so it's like 7 tiers of different coloured sponges, and then with just like white icing on top, and it looked so professional, and the cake was actually very yummy. Not only did it look good, taste good. And then I only went with one other friend actually that time, but it was kind of combined with the food and having such a lovely conversation. One of my favourite formal memories, definitely.
Wow, that's so cool. That pudding sounds insane too. Oh, that's so nice. Definitely formals are such like a nice occasion, because like I always say to my friends, like we really need to savor these moments, because like I said, we're never going to get this opportunity again, and it's such a unique experience. So yeah, we are very, very lucky.
I agree.
And talking of the rainbow, oh no, go on, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so I mean, this is just like very random,
Yeah.
but I think also on Thursdays, like Merton does like curry nights. So instead of a formal, you will go down and they have everything on platters, like in the centre, and you can help yourself to as much as you like. And that's just another thing that I've really enjoyed that I only found out about this year. So yeah.
So is that in the evening?
Yeah, so I think it's instead of the formal, they have like Thursday curry night.
Oh, that sounds so good. Sounds so, so good. So it sounds like the food like really helps to keep your guys' welfare like good. Yeah, and sort of keep you positive throughout the week. But what other welfare measures do your college have in place, or does your college have in place?
So I personally feel that Merton has a really good student welfare system. We have, so I guess your first port of call, we have welfare reps, which are student, like you vote them in during that at the end of each year. But so far, I've always found them to be really lovely and really supportive. So the welfare reps, not only are they there just as general people to talk to, and they host weekly drop-in sessions so that you can chat to them about whatever. They also host events such as during fifth week, Oxford has the thing called fifth week blues, where it's come just past halfway term and you're starting to lag a bit, things are getting a bit hard, you get a bit tired, but they host a whole week of events, such as kind of free D&D trips, that's trips to the local ice cream parlour, so you can all trip down and have a lovely free scoop of ice cream, kind of animal visits, arts and crafts sort of, I think they once did mug painting events. So it's all just wholesome, lovely events to take your mind off things and for you and your friends to go down and enjoy. And typically you don't have to pay for these events. It's funded by the college, essentially. Yeah, and so they're really lovely and they do a lot to make the college such a lovely place. We also have, I think, peer supporters or something called similar. And they're people who are also have volunteered, I think, and they've been trained to talk to students about issues if you ever want to go to them. And so like their faces on lots of notice boards with their contact details if you ever want to talk to them. Above that, I think we have, I think, is it called the chaplain? Not entirely sure what they're called, but basically there's like lots of staff above that who are also meant, or who are there for you if you want to talk to them. I would say check out the website because they've probably got lots of this sort of thing. We also have our own counsellor, or if we don't have our own counsellor, I think Merton will pay you to go and see counselling, which I think is very useful, and they can get you fast tracked as well to see a counsellor as soon as necessary if that's what you require and that's what you would like. I think a lot of it does come down to the student body. I've found that lots of people at Merton are very supportive, very friendly, and willing to talk to you about or to support you if you need it. For sure. And everyone's always looking out for each other. So there's lots of kind of people pigeoning each other things, like little pigeon being kind of your own. It's like student mail, essentially. You have your own little mailboxes and you can just leave chocolates, little notes, things like that inside. So I think there's a lot of support in the student community, which is really lovely. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else there is welfare related, but I think Merton does look after its own very well.
That's really, really nice to know, because Oxford can be quite a stressful place with a workload, and welfare can make all the difference. And just knowing there's somebody there that you can message is just like such a nice thing to know. And I guess you said that it's like a really, really welcoming community. And would you say that it's quite a welcoming community for all? Is it quite like a equal, diverse college in that sense?
So I think in terms of the actual kind of statistics, I don't think it's necessarily as diverse as it could be.
Okay.
I'm not sure that's down for whatever biases there may be. But the people within it are definitely very open. And also, I think there's a lot of willingness to talk about issues and discuss things. And they do want to, because recently I think the college did put out a statement on like the BL movement, and they want to kind of improve what we have currently, because I think it is lacking in that area. But so I guess that hopefully there will be a move towards a more kind of inclusive, well, not inclusive, because I think when you get there, it's generally okay. Well, that's how I found it personally. But yeah, just I guess in terms of applications and actually allowing people into college, hopefully it'll become more diverse. In terms of so like LGBTQ plus, there's I think there's a Merton Society for that as well, and I think that is quite strong. Or they have got I think they've got their own Facebook page and things like that, to support each other, and they've got their own community, which is very lovely, I think. And yeah, whilst I'm not like, I don't really actively participate in it, you can't do see things coming up on Facebook because your friends are involved, and I think that's always great to see.
Yeah, that's really nice, because I mean, what I found coming from where I live to Oxford is that it is a much more diverse place than where I'm from. But also there is a lot still to be done, and I think it's really important that the university are like forming initiatives to try and increase diversity across the university. I think that's a really nice thing, and I think it's really nice that the students are also really inclusive of everybody. And like, I think it's really opened my eyes coming to Oxford to see how lovely people can be with each other, like irrespective of your background. So yeah, I think that's really, really nice. I think an important thing about living in college is your accommodation. So could you sort of tell me about what accommodation's like, I guess, throughout the years, and like maybe the ballot system if you've got one?
Oh yeah, that's true. Because these are, I think, a lot of things that you don't really realize until you get there, or it doesn't seem that big a deal. So at Merton, all your accommodation is provided by the college throughout your degree, which is not necessarily true for all colleges. Well, it depends what you want, really, because some people might want to move out. But you can also choose to live outside of college grounds if you want to. So first years you stay in college, and Merton itself has 5 quads. If you go on their website, I think there might be like a virtual tour thing that you can go on. And then we have a quad called Rose Lane, which is where most of the first years are, and then some are on like Merton Street, which is just outside of college, but it's like literally adjoined. So that's where you live in first year. There are, I think, 3 kitchens between all the first years, where there's a cohort of about 90 or so, which I guess is quite a lot per kitchen, really. But then a lot of people do eat in the hall, and then if you stagger your times or choose whenever you go, it's not always that busy. And it's just a nice place to go and meet people as well, I think, generally. So whilst it wasn't always like the tidiest of kitchens, it still was quite clean, I think, for students. So that was good. And like they've got kind of fridges, freezers, cupboards, so you can store your own thing. Albeit we tend to all buy our own, or not everyone, but you can take your own mini fridge, which I did, just to put your own things in, because it's just easier. But I know people who ended up kind of sharing fridges, or kind of having sort of mini friendly contracts, like, I'm going to leave my milk in your fridge, but you can use it when you want. So that was really lovely. So that's accommodation. My room was kind of one of those classic Oxford style rooms, dark wood, kind of, it was a green carpet, but it matched the room. It was like dark green sort of thing. You tend to have a sink in all of your rooms, so like brushing your teeth, getting some water, and I had plenty of storage as well, like cupboard, chest of drawers, shelving, and then so your bed, desk, that's all provided. You don't need to do any of that, but you do have to bring your own duvet and bedding, which I don't think is a big deal. That was so that was my first year, and I shared a floor with three others. So it was 4 to like a shower and bathroom, which was fine. Also, one thing about Oxford, at least for us, you have people who come and help clean to keep the place clean and tidy, which we're very, very lucky to have, I think. It does mean that it's kept clean and you don't have to worry about it. Some people have different preferences about it, but I personally do appreciate that they're there, like, empty your bins almost every day. So yeah, I think it's very helpful personally, because you don't have to spend that time doing it yourself. Anyway, so that was my first year, and I think the room size is actually very decent as well. That's another thing to mention. Maybe like 2 meters by 2 meters, maybe. Or at least maybe that's quite small. I don't know. I'd go check on the website for photos and things like that. But they were definitely sizable rooms.
That's good.
And mine was only average size as well, because I know some people in first year, because it was done by random draw, they got one of the newer buildings and all had en suites. But because it was only done by luck, we all pay the same price because they didn't choose that room particularly. So that was definitely good for them. And they're really lovely rooms too. Anyway, second year, so we actually have a choice whether we can stay in college, or Merton actually has houses on Holywell Street, which is actually very central Oxford, near to the Sheldonian, Radcam, that sort of rough area. So for me, it's been very useful because that's closer to the science department where I need to go to my lectures every morning. So that was handy. And you're put into houses. The way it works is we have a ballot system, as you mentioned earlier, and pause. So yeah, the ballot system at Merton, I think, is very fair. You can ballot in groups of 6 with your friends, and then basically it's just a random draw of whatever order that you get to pick your rooms for next year in. The one thing that I think is good about Merton's way of doing it is that the ballot system it's set in second year, but then the next year it gets inverted. And so if you had little choice for, say, second year, for third year you'll actually have a lot more choice, because then you'll be at the top of the ballot and get to choose first for next year. Whereas I know other colleges, sometimes they do it random draw like each year. So if you had bad luck one year, you might have bad luck the next year, which is not ideal. But so I think our system is quite good in that way. And then the houses, I think there's typically about 7 to 15, I think, is maybe one of the biggest houses, but it's more like 2 houses that are joined together, kind of like all the corridors go between. And then again, you get your own room. This year I've shared a bathroom with just one other person, which has been good. And then each each pair of houses has their own kitchen, which is really nice. And ours had a nice dining table. It's like a pretty decent sized kitchen as well, because I know some colleges, their kitchens are literally like a little room that you just can't twirl around in, which is kind of fair enough. Maybe they have more kitchens, but because it's per house, I think it's really nice. You definitely get that sense of living out of uni, even though you're still under college accommodation, which I really liked. And you get that sense of housemates and going down to the kitchen and people being there doing like some studying or just chatting. So that's definitely been really nice, because it's just a different sort of accommodation, I guess. And then third year, most people will go back into the college grounds on Merton Street. So, and then a similar sort of thing. You can pick your rooms. And that's good. In terms of pricing, I think Merton tends to just have two prices, one with ensuite, one without ensuite. There's no kind of different pricing or banding or quality of rooms. I think it's because most rooms are at least of a similar quality. Perhaps size-wise it differs, but I guess not enough for them to deem the price change. to be necessary. And also, a lot of the rooms are perhaps the same sort of time when they were done. So yeah, I guess. But I think it's good in that way because you don't have to think too hard about it.
Yeah. Are the houses similar price as well, or are they more or less expensive?
They're all the same price.
Okay.
So
Wow.
like, yeah.
That's really cool. Sounds really cool. And also the fact that you have that many people in a house. So I suppose you still have like loads of social interactions. It's not like you're in a house of like 3 other people and like they're the only people you ever see. So yeah,
So
that's
I
really
was
cool.
in kind of a small house of about 7, but I definitely know there are bigger houses. So yeah, that was definitely really good.
So a couple of questions that I find are quite interesting just to like compare between colleges. So what do you think is the college that's most different to yours?
Ooh. Um, I'd be tempted to say like Christchurch.
Oh, how
Um,
come? Because that's like really close to Merton. You're like,
yeah, I just feel like it's probably a lot bigger.
yeah.
Um, I don't really know really. I feel like that's one of my main reasons. I mean, maybe potentially reputation, but I don't really know. Um,
What would you say the reputation of Christchurch is then? That makes it quite different to Merton.
Oxford. No, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend going on Oxford, by the way, before you come. Like, it's just full of weird stuff, or like kind of college related. Um, I think all colleges are actually quite different, um, and they each have their own perks. So picking one to be the opposite for me is quite difficult. Because in terms of size, then I'd say kind of Keble, Worcester,
Mm,
Christchurch, especially in terms of grounds as well. Or St John's, they're quite different because they've got lots of different quads from different ages,
yeah.
and they've got a lot more ground as well. I think biggest biggest college going. So yeah, if you fancy that, then they've also got a lot of money. So yeah, if
Yeah,
you're
a
looking for
lot.
kind of funding and things, then maybe that's some place to look into. Um, I guess in terms of like age as well, like then comparatively, St. Cat's has a lot more, and St. Anne's, their buildings are a lot newer, more modern, whereas ours are kind of the more classic old Oxford,
Yeah.
old brick sort of thing. So I feel like I'd go more based on those factors in terms of opposites. Because I think each student community, student body is very different. Um, and everyone's just really lovely in general anyway. So it's just wherever you find it feels natural, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. Because like for some people, the older colleges does work nicely for them, whereas some other people want more like modern colleges. And I suppose wherever you end up, you are just completely in love with your college. Like most people turn out to be
Yeah.
die-hard fans. Like I'm so like such a die-hard fan of Somerville, and if anybody says anything bad about it, I'm like, I will hit you. Like step away. So yeah, I think it's important to note that you will love whichever college you end up in. But it is nice to have that initial choice, and like to go around colleges and have a look at the different types there are. Yeah, definitely. And if Merton wasn't a college or didn't exist, which college would you have applied to?
Ooh, another one. Um, I don't know. 'Cause what a good answer. I I picked based on say location, size of college. Yeah, I think, and then just kind of going by how it felt to talk to the students. I didn't, in terms of kind of tutors and academics, I didn't really look at those when I
Yeah,
picked college. Um, yeah, so in terms of location, I wanted something that was quite central. And for me, Merton is central enough, but it's not kind of like Balliol, where it's completely surrounded by all the hustle and bustle. It's just
yeah.
slightly south, so it's like not out of town, but it's not on all the busy roads.
Yeah, it's like on
Um,
a street behind the busy roads. So you're literally right there, but you don't have loads of cars going past and
yeah,
things. So it must be quite nice.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something that I was looking at, and also because I quite enjoy music, I wanted somewhere close to the music faculty.
Okay.
For things like rehearsals, I thought, I don't want to have to trek too far, to try and get there. So that was something I wanted. So maybe if I didn't apply to Merton, maybe I would have ended up applying to Christchurch, really, because that's kind of south. But then it's quite big as well, so that was something that I didn't particularly vibe with.
What about Corpus Christi? Because that's quite small, or is that too small for you?
See, that was the thing. I felt that was too small.
Yeah, fair.
It's just whatever suits you. I felt maybe I would have ended up going for, like maybe St. Peter's or Pembroke.
Okay, yeah.
Not that I don't really know, to be honest. It was at the time a very sort of haphazard decision of where did I remember and what just felt comfortable at the time. Because I remember when doing the Newcastle one, it was literally just one drop down box, and I was like, oh. And it seemed kind of, even though I only went in September, that it was a long time that I'd seen the colleges, kind of going to school and all that. I do feel like a lot of it is sort of just kind of gut feeling, and if it's not even that, then you just go with it and see what happens.
Just go with the flow. And like the way that the system works is that even if you apply to a college, you could be pulled to another college, which means that if they don't have enough space for you at their college, they'll recommend you to another college. So you could literally spend hours and hours and hours making like charts and graphs and things, which is the best college for you, and then get pulled to a completely different college. So don't stress too much about college choices, but it is nice to have an idea of what you want in a college, I think. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
I think also, I guess if it's important to you, also look at funding and kind of grants and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
And accommodation prices, because those vary a lot between colleges.
Yeah, that's really, really true. And I guess the more rich colleges are nicer with that, I suppose, have cheaper priced accommodation, maybe. I mean, I don't know if that's a general rule, but I know that they'll be able to subsidise it a little bit more. And I know things like St. John's, which is the richest college, has like free laundry and things like that. So I suppose it's worth just looking out for little things like that. But I think you love wherever you end up, really.
Definitely. I think so. Like, you just end up being a fan of your college.
Yeah, a die-hard fan. That's what I always say. Oh, well, it's been so lovely talking to you today. I've learned so much about Merton, and it sounds like a really cool college. And hands down, my favourite thing about Merton is the bops. They sound incredible. Sounds so cool. So yeah, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you talking to me about it.
Good.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.